My responsibility, again, is to the puppies. If you're going to do this, be responsible. For whatever reason, if you're going to breed, you have a responsibility to those puppies for their entire life. You have a responsibility to the family where these puppies are being placed. And if you're going to do it right, it is time consuming. It takes quite a bit of time to raise a litter of puppies. And I'm going to show you some figures that are not in the book that I've put together. And each seminar I modified a little bit. Somebody said, well, you didn't think of this. And they're very valid points. We need to be honest. We need to be honest in our business. We need to be honest to the families where the dogs are going, and we need to be honest with ourselves. If we're not doing the right things, maybe we need to re-examine if we should be breeding. And we also have to be true to the breeds that we're working with. We have to be true to the families that the puppies are going to, and to ourselves. Race horses was the main animal that they used. They figured that about 1/3 of temperament and working ability that we actually see in adult animals was genetic. We know that some of the genetic diseases we can now test for. We know that a lot of those are recessive genes. We know that sometimes we can breed for those or breed to get rid of those. My problem with the genetic testing is that I don't think it's done enough and the information is not released. If you test your dog's hips and your vet says this is not going to pass, a high number of people say, well, I'm not even going to submit these. What's the sense in me submitting them if the dog is going to fail? That gives us bad information. By not submitting that, it's bad information. We can now see which dogs passed, but we don't know which dogs failed. Finding critical periods. Scott and Fuller did this back in the 60s. Several other people have done it as well. The first critical period is prenatal to 3 weeks, from 3 weeks prior to the birth until the birth. And during that time, we want to try to make it as stress-free as possible as we can for the dam. We increase our food, as we talked about earlier, plenty of fresh water. She needs a place that's ready for her to be a whelping box, and indulge her. When she wants to be petted or she wants her belly rubbed, give her a break, rub her belly. Let her get on the couch. Let her get in the bed with you, whatever. Give her some special attention. The neonatal period is from birth to 12 days. The biggest thing that's symbolized by this period is they're just little blobs. And they basically all look just alike. Great Danes, Tibetan Spaniels, Ridgebacks, except for maybe color, and they all look basically the same. Their eyes and ears are sealed. They can't see, they can't hear. They eat and they sleep. The only thing that we really can do during this period is the biosensors. Anybody familiar with the biosensor program? We're going to talk about it a lot in detail this afternoon, but the final imprinting stage begins at about 8 weeks, and it lasts until 10 weeks, and that's where, theoretically, that's where imprinting is supposed to end at the 10th week. All dogs don't read the same book, so it may be 9 weeks, it may be 11 weeks. This is the most common place for placement to take place. In the United States, the most common age for placement is about 7.5 weeks. 7.6, I think, is what it worked out to be. So that's when most of these puppies are going to their new homes. They probably don't have full use of their sight yet. They're either entered or just about ready to enter that the impact period, the fear period, that first fear period. And there's still a lot of things that can be imprinted. So if they go to a strange environment at 8 weeks, and like I mentioned earlier, that broom falls, that may be what gets imprinted and not all the work that's happened previously. example of ball on the wall. A little, I think that puppy was about 7 weeks old. And it would walk towards the ball a couple of times. But you start with your feet against the wall and just toss the ball in. The purpose is to get them to go after it. This guy, it took several sessions before he was really even interested in going after a little ball. Some different handling exercises.
That was a very good job. Now let me see your little ghoulies. Where's your little ghoulies? Where's your teeth? Ah, look at them teeths. You got some teeths in there. Where's your toenails? Oh, look at them toes. Look at them toes. Where's your ghoulies? Where's your teethies? Where's your teethers? Where's your toenails? There's your toenail back here. And this toenail over here. And this toenail over here.
Selecting the right family, I believe that every puppy should have a contract. If my best friend, I sold a dog to my best friend, there's a contract. I wanted to make sure that he remained my best friend, and if we hadn't have had the contract, I don't think we would have had any of the problems. But, I mean, we have a contract. We know exactly where each of us stands. He knows how I feel about my dogs, and that if this dog can't live with him, he has to give him back to me. He can't take him to a shelter. I don't want that. I don't want it for shelters, but I'm responsible for that puppy. I chose to make that breeding, and I am responsible for that puppy for his entire life. Every puppy I've ever bred, please Lord, don't do that to me, always has a home at my house. You need to decide, there's advantages and disadvantages of co-owning, and you need to decide if that's what you're going to do.